The first time she laughed after her husband's funeral, she was standing barefoot on a weathered porch that was falling apart beneath her feet. I didn't know it then, but that simple afternoon would quietly change the direction of both our lives forever. If you believe kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances still have the power to change lives, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach people who need them most. My name is Nathan, and I had lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Franklin, Tennessee, for almost 8 years. After my divorce, I had buried myself in work as a carpenter, convincing everyone, including myself, that being alone was easier than risking another heartbreak. The only person who seemed to understand silent loneliness was my next-door neighbor, Rachel. She had lost her husband, Aaron, to a sudden illness nearly 3 years earlier. Since then, her cheerful white farmhouse had become strangely quiet. The flowers still bloomed because she faithfully watered them, but the laughter that once drifted across the yards had disappeared. One Saturday morning, I noticed several loose porch boards bending beneath her steps. As someone who worked with wood every day, I couldn't ignore how dangerous it looked. I walked over with my toolbox and simply offered to help. At first, Rachel hesitated, insisting she didn't want to be a burden. Eventually, she smiled politely and accepted. We spent the day replacing rotten boards, reinforcing old beams, and sanding splintered railings, while soft country music floated from an old radio sitting on the porch. The work itself wasn't difficult, but the silence between us felt heavy. We spoke about harmless things at first: the weather, the neighborhood, the stray cat that visited every evening. Slowly, those conversations grew deeper. She admitted she still caught herself setting 2 coffee mugs on the kitchen counter every morning before remembering she no longer needed the second one. I confessed that my empty house felt larger every year, even though it wasn't. There was comfort in speaking honestly to someone who understood grief without needing it, explained. By late afternoon, the porch looked almost new. Fresh wood gleamed in the warm sunlight, and the rocking chair Aaron had once built no longer leaned dangerously to one side. Rachel disappeared inside and returned with 2 glasses of homemade lemonade. She looked around proudly before glancing at me with a playful grin I had never seen before. She joked that since I had repaired her porch so perfectly, I might accidentally become the neighborhood's favorite husband for hire. For a second, we both froze. The words hung awkwardly in the warm summer air. Then Rachel covered her face, laughing nervously as she apologized for making such a silly joke. But instead of feeling uncomfortable, I laughed too. It was genuine, effortless laughter neither of us had experienced in years. Something invisible cracked open between us that afternoon. It wasn't romance. Not yet. It was permission to smile again, without feeling guilty. Over the following months, the porch became our meeting place. Some evenings we shared iced tea while watching thunderstorms roll across Tennessee fields. Other days we simply sat in peaceful silence. Rachel began volunteering again at the local church food pantry, something she had stopped after Aaron passed away. Inspired by her courage, I started mentoring teenagers interested in woodworking. Without realizing it, we were helping each other step back into life one ordinary day at a time. Not everyone understood our growing friendship. A few neighbors whispered that it was too soon for Rachel to move on, even though years had already passed. Those quiet judgments hurt her more than she admitted. One evening she confessed she worried people would think she had forgotten Aaron. I reminded her that loving the future never erased the past. The porch we rebuilt still rested on the original foundation. We hadn't destroyed what was there. We had simply made it strong enough to carry new memories. That conversation became a turning point. Rachel stopped apologizing for smiling. She began hosting neighborhood dinners again, filling the old farmhouse with warmth that everyone had missed. Children played in the yard. Elderly neighbors shared stories. People who once barely waved at one another now lingered long after sunset. The repaired porch became more than a place to sit. It became a place where lonely people found company, and strangers became friends. Almost a year after that summer afternoon, the church organized a community appreciation picnic. During the event, Rachel thanked dozens of volunteers who had supported her through difficult years. Then, she looked toward me with tears shining in her eyes and said that sometimes God answers prayers in unexpected ways. Sometimes, the answer doesn't arrive with grand miracles. Sometimes it simply walks next door carrying a toolbox. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience, including mine. I realized then that fixing broken wood had never been the real project. We had quietly repaired two wounded hearts that neither of us believed could ever feel whole again. If this story has touched your heart, please consider liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who could use a little hope today. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change a life. Before this story ends, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us about a moment when someone's simple kindness changed your life forever. As the sun set behind Rachel's little farmhouse that evening, we sat together on the porch we had rebuilt, listening to the gentle creak of the rocking chair and the distant song of crickets. Life had not erased our losses, and it never would, but it had quietly shown us that broken things can become beautiful again when someone is willing to stay, to care, and to help carry the weight. Sometimes, the strongest foundations are built not from perfect beginnings, but from compassion, faith, and the courage to believe that tomorrow can still hold joy.